From the AACI studios in downtown Tapio, Jerusalem, it's Louis Live! Now here's your host, me, Ari Louis. Good evening, everyone. It's Louis Live. We're back. World Series talk, a lot of it till midnight, IST, Israel Standard Time. Joined, of course, in studio by my main man, Yossi G. How you doing,
What's up?
How you doing, Yossi?
Thank God. We're all hanging out, hanging in.
You know, Yossi G, we thought we would be discussing either a Texas Rangers championship or tonight's Game 7, but Hashem did his part. Rain, make it rain. Let the Lord said, let there be rain. Game delayed. We have Game 6 tonight. And to discuss...
Well, it's all relative as to that God did his part. Depends which side of the coin you're dealing with.
That's true. Well, he did his part in getting the game to Friday night because he wanted the game.
But Selig wanted the option for a weekend game?
To have a weekend game at the end. We'll get to more of that later on with Jim Williams.
I guess nobody in Texas is going to be watching that if that happens.
Because high school football.
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, no way. But in any case, people in St. Louis will be watching and discuss Game 6 tonight and potential Game 7 tomorrow is our Philadelphia insider. It's a shock his Phillies aren't in the World Series to some people, but not to me. I had the Cardinals. Anyway, Ari Bluestein. Ari, how you doing out there?
Don't bring up that the Phillies aren't in the World Series, please, or I'm hanging up.
All right, fair enough.
Truth hurts.
We'll say the other way. We'll say the Cardinals are in the World Series, and at this point, 5 games in, a little of everything. We had Albert Pujols hit 3 home runs, only been done by 2 other gentlemen, some guy named Babe, some guy named Reggie Jackson. We had Tony La Russa's meltdown in Game 5 where he didn't know why the certain pitcher was at the mound, Lynn was at the mound. What stands out to you more between the 2 episodes?
Well, the Albert Pujols thing, it's not like the Cardinals were in a tough game with the Rangers in Game 3.
Great point. That's what I said.
Well in hand.
That's what I said. I said to Andy Gershman, not so valuable. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just worked up about it. He is not the MVP of the series if they win. That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead.
Oh, God. Okay. So, Reggie Jackson, when he did it, it was more meaningful. So that doesn't really stand out to me that much. Really, the game that stands out to me, Ari, is Game 5. Because that was the series tied 2-2. It's the last game in Texas, and St. Louis had a chance to win Game 5 and, for all intents and purposes, end the World Series. But now it swings in Texas's favor, with them being up 3-2 because of the bullpen faux pas, if you will. I don't know what happened there. My theory is that Mott was in the bathroom for a long time, and that's why La Russa couldn't get to him. That's my theory, and La Russa just covering up for him. But to me, Game 5, that is the definition of the series. And Ari, if your Cardinals do not win the series, you can point to that Game 5 and the Cardinals bullpen not pulling it out there.
Now, would you say that there was any specific part of that Game 5 that you would have Ari point to when the Texas Rangers win tonight in Game 6?
Please.
Is it like maybe the blown hit and run, the moronic steal, something else?
I think in Game 5, if you're talking about Game 5, I look at the 2 home runs that the Rangers hit by Moreland and by Beltre to get them back into the game. I think that's really where the Rangers, their strength has been, timely hitting, and not only the long ball, but if you look back to Game 2, the other game that Jaime Garcia pitched, and he'll be pitching this evening in Game 6, the 2 runs that the Rangers scored in the 9th inning against Mott. I think you look at the way they came back in Game 5 and the way they came back in Game 2 as really the 2 big points in the series, other than the whole bullpen thing. But I look at the home runs that knotted the game at 2 with Moreland and Belcher in Game 5 and the big small ball 2 sacrifice flies that the Rangers were able to do in Game 2.
All right. Tony La Russa has been disastrous with not only Game 5, Game 2 also he screwed up. My nickname for him is Micro because he likes to micromanage everything. And I've followed the Cardinals for a long time. He did this in '96. He cost us the pennant in 1996, in my opinion, by the whole Allen Andy Bennett switch. But he's got a huge decision to make if the Cardinals get to Game 7. Yes, that's a big if, but let's think positive for us St. Louis fans. Tonight,
we'll all be thanking God if that happens.
Tonight, Jamie Garcia is going for the Cardinals. Can't do much about that. He pitched well in Game 2. Yes, they did not get the win. But of the 3 starters outside of Chris Carpenter, he is by far the best starter. He better than Edwin Jackson. His ERA is a respectable 3.5, workable. Garcia gets us to Game 7. Do you go with, on 3 days rest, Chris Carpenter, ERA about 3, or and again, the only Cardinal starter really doing anything. Or do you go with the man who was going to pitch Game 7 if they're not rain delay? Louis. Loesch. No, I like to make fun of him. Loesch. Who do you go with, Loesch or Chris Carpenter?
If I'm Tony La Russa, I have to go with Chris Carpenter.
All right.
He's your horse. He's the reason that they got there. You look at the Philly series, he pitched great in Game 5, complete game shutout, got them to the next round, and he's been great in the playoffs. He's been great all year, and he's your ace. You're not going to start Kyle Loesch or Edwin Jackson in Game 7 of the World Series when you have Chris Carpenter available. I mean, 3 days rest, yeah, he didn't look that great in Game 2 against the Phillies. I was actually at that game at Citizens Bank Park. He didn't look that great, got shelled early on, and the bullpen actually held up, and the Cardinals were able to get the Cliff Lee. So his playoff record on 3 days rest isn't that good, but still, you have to go to Carpenter, and you have Kyle Loesch on full days rest. If Carpenter does not do well in the beginning of the game, second, third, fourth inning, you do have the option to bring in Loesch, but you got to start it off with Carpenter. You have to. That sends a message to your team that you are ready to win. You are going to win. You don't send that message with sending Kyle Loesch out there and Chris Carpenter sitting on your bench. I mean, you know that, Ari. I think you feel the same way. So I think you have to go with Carpenter, but it's going to be tough to win tonight because Garcia, while he does pitch great at home, Kobe Lewis, the Rangers pitcher, he pitches great on the road, and he pitched great back in Game 2, I believe it was, when the Rangers defeated the Cardinals.
You know, I got to tell you, all right, we might make you the manager of the Cardinals. You know, that's some sound logic, sound advice. No micro stuff. Very simple. Carpenter.
And I'll presume you're not a vegan either.
Oh, you're not a vegan, are you?
No, I'm not a vegan, no.
That's even better. No, you know, that's well said. What people forget when they get to the World Series is do what got you there. Chris Carpenter did not have a great regular season, but he is the man for the Cardinals, and he was great down the stretch in September, and he's been great in the playoffs.
Even the games that they've lost, he still kept them in it. He
still didn't
allow many runs.
He got the run support that the Cardinals gave in Game 3, the 16 runs would have won. Okay, that's a bit of a, obviously it's not going to happen every time. But Chris Carpenter pitches great. He should pitch Game 7. I don't know if Louis is going to do that. We'll find out. And again, as a Cardinals fan, I'm not expecting Chris Carpenter to throw 9 innings. 5 would be great. But last question, Ari, before we let you go. The victory of the Cardinals, if, when, whenever, does that affect Albert Pujols leaving? Is he more likely to leave if the Cardinals win the World Series or don't win the World Series?
That's a great question. I think if they lose the World Series, I think it's more likely for him to leave. But still, if I were a betting man, I would say Pujols would be back with the Cardinals. I think they're going to find a way to work it out. He's comfortable in St. Louis. He's comfortable there, and I don't really see any other big market teams throwing the big money at Albert. If I were Albert, I would want to stay in St. Louis. I think if they win the World Series, they can win these next 2 games at home, and Pujols is a great game. I think the Cardinals will have no choice but to bring him back. And I think losing will leave a bitter taste in Albert's mouth. It will leave a bitter taste in management's mouth and also in the fans' mouth. I mean, depending on what Albert Pujols does tonight, the Rangers have done a good job of pitching around him since that Game 3 explosion. But I think if the Cardinals win, he stays for sure. I think even if the Cardinals lose, he stays, but that's where maybe the questions start to come up.
Okay, and we've seen it with the first thing I think of as far as losing in the finals, and then a team splitting apart is, I think, the Lakers 04. Kobe and Shaq, that was kind of the final straw, if you will. They obviously had problems, but winning sometimes masked those problems. They lost in the finals. Shaq then left. So I agree with you. He's more likely to leave if they lose, but I also agree that he's probably staying at the end. YoCG, real quick prediction.
Yeah, he's probably going to end up staying either way. He likely will not pull a Prince Fielder like Prince is going to end up pulling with the Brew Crew in Milwaukee. And he's probably also going to be more giving to the Cardinals fans and will say, don't worry about it, I'm actually going to end up staying. We're not going to pull something that South Florida did after the Marlins won in 97 and in 03 and then dismantle the whole team.
Are you still there?
Oh, I'm sorry, Grant. Were you asking me a question?
Yossi, are you making a point or asking a question?
No, I'm making a point.
Okay,
I'm just
all right,
saying
sorry,
Pool's
okay.
going to end up staying. Totally agree with you. And even if they end up losing and get in 6 games, which is what's going to happen, he's still going to end up back in St. Louis swinging a lumberjack.
But he won't be in Philadelphia. Yeah. Don't dream of Ryan Howard and Pools coming off the bench or playing third base and throwing to Ryan Howard. And don't think of a trade either, Ari Bluestein, because those rumors they need to be squashed. I'd much rather have Albert Pujols than Ryan Howard. No offense, in all due respect.
I would love to have Pujols right now because Howard, who knows when he's coming back with that torn Achilles.
That's all right. Great point
That
as
is
well.
true.
Great point.
So that's where Prince Fielder comes in.
We'll see. All right, we got to run, but thanks for coming on, especially short notice. We had to discuss the World Series with our main man, the Philadelphia insider, Ari Bluestein. Have a good day and enjoy the game tonight.
Ari, Yossi, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, and you guys enjoy the game as well.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, peace out. Okay, we'll take a commercial break, and we have a great guest. It's a surprise after this.
Offering the best of Israel at the best price, Shalom Israel Tours can help you make your next trip to Israel the adventure of a lifetime. Shalom Israel Tours will customize the trip to Israel for your family or group. Specializing in bar mitzvah packages, outdoor adventure vacations, wine tours, and more, Shalom Israel Tours is sure to inspire. So whether you're looking for a customized trip, a day tour, or a car rental, Shalom Israel Tours is here to help. Email us at inspire@shalomisraeltours.com or click the banner on the Israel Sports Radio homepage, and soon you will find yourself in Israel. That's Shalom Israel Tours, www.shalomisraeltours.com.
Are you ready to get serious about your health and fitness? iFit trainers provide one-on-one personal training and put together the best fitness program to get the right results for you. Find your I in Fit. We offer certified personal trainers with elite athletic experience and flexible hours at the convenience of your own home. Classes are offered in English and in Hebrew. We serve Jerusalem and the surrounding areas. For more information and to schedule your first workout session, call Alyssa at 054-759-7280 or email Alyssa, ELISSA, at i-fit.co.il. Visit us at www.i-fit.co.il or click on the iFit banner on the Israel Sports Radio homepage.
Feeling overwhelmed with all you have to do? Let your personal shopper help. Connie is an experienced gift shopper and can help free up your day. Connie can assist you in finding the perfect gift for your upcoming simchas or pick up those light items at the grocery. And don't forget, if you are in the area of the Israel Center on Karen HaYesod, stop by on Monday or Tuesday between 8:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. to check out all the great gifts Connie has to offer. For more information, call 02-654-2155 or email Connie at netvision.net.il. Don't forget to check out her great website at www.conniesgifts.com.
Israel Sports Dynamic specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248 or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you having computer issues? You just got to try these guys. Tiger Computer Services, 050-708-1599. All of Jerusalem is talking about them. They're super experienced, efficient, reliable, and honest. Their lead technician has over 20 years experience and holds a BS in computer science from a top American university. Mickey from Macavia says, I won't let anybody touch my computers except for Tiger. So call Tiger Computer Services, 050-708-1599. Believe me, you'll be happy that you did. Ruben from Baca says, I've had many technicians in the past, and these guys are some of the best I've seen. Laptops, desktops, netbooks, Macintoshes, iPods, iPhones. All hardware and software problems, advice, and instruction. The next time you need a very experienced and honest computer technician, call Tiger Computer Services at 050-708-1599. Mention Israel Sports Radio for a 15% discount for all new customers. Are you living in the Tel Aviv area and looking to achieve those fitness goals that seem out of reach? If so, personal trainer Leon Kessler is just one call away. Leon will teach, coach, advise, supervise, and support you so that you are able to accomplish your fitness goals. One call to 050-792-2434 will put your goals in reach. That's 050-792-2434, or click on the Leon Kessler banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and see what Leon can do for you.
Midreshet Devora, a Dati Leumi post-high school program which educates minds and broadens horizons. Located in Baca, the lovely Jerusalem neighborhood provides an excellent background and setting for a tremendous education. Our students learn, love, and feel the land of Israel and get tools which will last them a lifetime. Generous scholarships are available. Please contact us at midreshetdevora.org. Call us from Israel at 052-534-6260 or from North America at 718-593-4162. Midreshet Devora, we're the program you've been waiting for.
Back here on Louis Live, our thanks to Ari Bluestein, our Philadelphia insider. On the line now, the man who arguably is the best baseball player ever to come out of Israel, Shlomo Leipitz. Shlomo, how you doing out there? Shlomo, can you hear me?
Here, how you doing?
Hey, doing great. So it's a pleasure to have you on the program. We certainly appreciate it. And tell us a bit about your career. I saw you pitch over the summer in the Israel Baseball Classic. You threw a shutout, and that was an important game because Israel was facing elimination when they played Great Britain. So talk about your performance, all the butterflies in that game, and how you're able to do so well against Great Britain.
Well, first of all, it was baseball in Israel and in such a great setting. I mean, it was the first time we ever hosted a baseball tournament, baseball tournament in Israel, and we had come back home and home crowd really helped me, zero in or get extra motivated during the game. And it's wherever you play, and that specific game, I had their number.
Yes, you certainly did pitch great. And talk a bit about your background. You pitched Division I college baseball, certainly very impressive. And talk about, as a youth, where you played baseball and when you decided that, hey, you wanted to do this past high school and into college and into your 30s now.
Well, I grew up in Israel, so needless to say that Israel is not known for being a so in second grade, tossing the ball around, not having any organized leagues, not having really any certified coaches, not having and just the love of the game, and it slowly developed. I was lucky enough on the first base team ever, and then just really developing with a program in Israel, and it was always a dream for me to play college ball, and just everything kind of lined up, and for that to happen. I was fortunate enough to be able to get the extending athlete program in the Army, so I was able to continue playing baseball, which is probably the biggest obstacle for any athlete in Israel. You get to a certain level and you hit people. I'm lucky the military service, and in the age where they supposedly get capabilities, they stopped playing for 3 years. So the fact that I was able to play throughout the Army for the Israeli national team and in local leagues really helped me to my dream in playing college in the States.
Shlomo, we see that from time to time when someone is a star athlete, they have a lot of talent, they have a lot of potential, they get that exemption, if you will, from the Israeli military. Do you think that will be more commonplace because Israel wants to showcase their athletes, show sports to the world and be successful. Do you think that will be more commonplace as time goes on?
You know what? I could just hope. I think it's not that, when an athlete, an Israeli athlete goes and participates in international, no matter what sport, if it's soccer, swimming, judo, even chess, and play in front of other players and get to represent the country, it always is good for the country. It only does good for kind of our image, international image. So, I really hope that really more and more athletes will get the opportunity to continue to. The best was we were great in the early ages, and then just what happens is very few selected players get to continue playing throughout the Army, and so by the time they finish it, there's this gap of really
right, absolutely. Now, okay, sorry about that, Shlomo. Okay, so let me ask you this. Obviously, we have the World Series going on right now. It's been a great series so far, especially if you're a Texas fan. But 5 games in, we've seen a little everything. We've seen some good starting pitching performances. Not everyone's been great, but some good performances. A lot of hitting, bullpen work, some mistakes by the managers on the Cardinals' end. What is your take as a guy that plays baseball at a very, very high level? What is your take when you're watching the World Series?
The coach is really not holding back. If someone gets tired of their matchup, they switch. In my opinion, the switching is a little kind of overthinking, meaning, just let the players play and don't take your starter after 2 innings. I guess that's the coaching philosophy. I think the Cardinals are to come back and win the next 2 games and win it. But, that's only my opinion.
No. Shlomo, that is a great opinion, and the studio audience loves that opinion. Okay? Also, I did grow up my family's from St. Louis, so I'm hoping that you're right about that. Okay, let's ask you kind of the million-dollar question we're going to be asking all night. Because of this rain delay, if there is a Game 7, it's tomorrow night. If you're Tony La Russa, do you go with Chris Carpenter on 3 days rest?
I think I do. Actually, I think I do. He's a gamer, and I know because this past summer, you come back after 2-3 day rest. Doesn't matter. The adrenaline is pumping. The team believes in you. I'd say go back to Carpenter.
Great point. People forget about that something an athlete keeps in mind is the adrenaline. How much does the adrenaline take away the pain that you feel physically?
Oh, you can't even imagine. I mean, after such a long season and playoff, there's not a single player on that field or the bench is not completely hurting. So you'll feel the pain after the game. You'll feel the pain before the game. You'll feel the pain between pitches, between that ball coming in and you're swinging up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's go. You just do it.
All right. I agree. I like that. Just do it is what Nike says, and that's what the Cardinals should do if they do get to Game 7. Hopefully they will, and Carpenter will start. Shlomo, what are your plans as far as coming to Israel next? When can we get you out to Israel and, of course, get you in the studio here at Israel Sports Radio?
Well, the biggest exciting thing is next year that we were very fortunate to be invited to the preliminaries of the World Classic. So unlike the normal national competition, any Jewish player is the location is unknown, the rivals are unknown, but all I know is that we have a chance of 1 to 4 to make it to the World Classic in a couple of years, which would be just an amazing leap.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We had Mr. Chaim Katz on a couple months ago. We talked about that with him, and that would be a wonderful thing. All right, Shlomo, we know you're busy. We'll let you go, and thank you for coming on tonight on Louis Live. We certainly.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We certainly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you here in Israel and in the studio.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good run.
All right, be well. Shlomo Leibitz, and I got to tell you, I wasn't going to tease him about this, but just so he knows, because he's in Brooklyn right now, that is not really the Jewish homeland. I just want to point that out there. No, you New Yorkers say that that's the new whatever Jerusalem is.
The other homeland.
The other homeland. Okay, it's not the homeland. It's not the real one. And we look forward to Shlomo coming back to the real homeland. As you heard, he's a real nice guy. Great point he made about the adrenaline. Sometimes it's more than the numbers and the stats. You think, well, 3 days rest, 4 days rest, you look at it as a number, it's more than that. There's emotion. Not just talking about a typical game. This is Game 7 of the World Series.
This is a mental taxation.
And I think, again, the problem is, this should be obvious in my opinion, that you go with Chris Carter, you just don't know with Tony L. But I'll point it out like this again. We're not asking, from a Cardinals perspective, for Chris Carter to pitch 9 innings. 5 would be plenty.
Yeah,
plenty.
You want him to give you the best opportunity to win.
All he's got to do is get 5. We'll take it to the bullpen, take our chances. And let me point this out.
1 second. I hope that by such a time that Tony La Russa will have been introduced to text messaging, because you don't want another bullpen gaffe that like what happened in Game 5 in Arlington.
Before we go to commercial break, I thought of this point on the way down here, so I'm just going to point it out to everyone who is listening. In 2001, there was some World Series, Yankees, Diamondbacks. Now, Mariano Rivera got the save in Game 3, and he pitched in Game 4 and Game 5. In Game 7, after Alfonso Soriano's home run gave them the 2-1 lead,
In the bottom of the 8th.
they brought in Mariano. But a 2-inning save. He doesn't do that. He does a 1-inning save. And isn't he tired for pitching in Game 3 and Game 4 and Game 5? No. I don't care he's tired, because in Game 7, as Joe Torre said, we felt very comfortable. Our best versus your best. At the end of the game, it was Mariano Rivera against Luis Gonzalez, who that year was the IMAX best player, steroids or not, 57 home runs. Even at that point when they faced, Mariano had already given up a run in the bottom of the ninth. You figured, Paul,
Right.
No. You don't do that, because in Game 7 of the World Series, my best versus your best, I'll take my chances. If I lose, I lost to my best. No cry, no complaining. Joe Torre was not written out of town or written off and said, "What? He's an idiot for putting in a tired Mariano Rivera." They said, "Okay, you did the right thing," but it didn't work out.
The only thing that they ribbed him for was pulling the infield in, and
yes,
a little blue cracked bat went over Jeter's head. In came Craig Counsell, and the chicken crossed the plate at home. At 12 o'clock. Well,
it was Jay Bell, but Craig Counsell scored in a different World Series. He's 97. Jay Bell scored in 2001, Game 7. Yes, we can put money on it. Now, by the way, Ari Fleischer, who was the press secretary for George W. Bush, brought up the point about moving the infield in. He asked why that was in, because he is a big Yankees fan, and when the Diamondbacks came to the White House, they teased about that. That's the first thing he said. He's like, why did Joe Torre have the infield in? Okay.
But Tony La Russa may not be so, or rather as concise as Joe Torre was, because he did pull Mott after he gave up 2 runs in a game in the World Series already.
Yeah, this is true. Again, what tactical things you could kind of live with. Okay, let's say Torre plays the infield back, and then it's a little bloop short, and then the run scores. His base is loaded. Okay, whatever.
For sure.
That's more of a gamble, luck type of thing. But as far as if a player is tired or not, my best versus your best, even if my best is tired. Anyways,
take your chances.
We'll take a break, and in the break, I'll prove to you it is Jay Bell. I'll show you the video. All right, anyways, we'll take a break and be back after this.
Offering the best of Israel at the best price, Shalom Israel Tours can help you make your next trip to Israel the adventure of a lifetime. Shalom Israel Tours will customize the trip to Israel for your family or group. Specializing in bar mitzvah packages, outdoor adventure vacations, wine tours, and more, Shalom Israel Tours is sure to inspire. So whether you're looking for a customized trip, a day tour, or a car rental, Shalom Israel Tours is here to help. Email us at inspire@shalomisraeltours.com or click the banner on the Israel Sports Radio homepage, and soon you will find yourself in Israel. That's Shalom Israel Tours, www.shalomisraeltours.com.
Are you ready to get serious about your health and fitness? iFit trainers provide one-on-one personal training and put together the best fitness program to get the right results for you. Find your I in Fit. We offer certified personal trainers with elite athletic experience and flexible hours at the convenience of your own home. Classes are offered in English and in Hebrew. We serve Jerusalem and the surrounding areas. For more information and to schedule your first workout session, call Alyssa at 054-759-7280 or email Alyssa, ELISSA, at i-fit.co.il. Visit us at www.i-fit.co.il or click on the iFit banner on the Israel Sports Radio homepage.
Feeling overwhelmed with all you have to do? Let your personal shopper help. Connie is an experienced gift shopper and can help free up your day. Connie can assist you in finding the perfect gift for your upcoming simchas or pick up those light items at the grocery. And don't forget, if you are in the area of the Israel Center on Karen HaYesod, stop by on Monday or Tuesday between 8:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. to check out all the great gifts Connie has to offer. For more information, call 02-654-2155 or email Connie at netvision.net.il. Don't forget to check out her great website at www.conniesgifts.com.
Okay, so we did a little research and giddy up. Now, this...
Shut Sports Products.
Oh, one second.
Anymore.
I'm sorry.
Just
I screwed
one
this
call
up.
away.
That's funny.
Over 30 years
you know how why this
experience
works
with
this way,
university
because I'm trying to
professional
embarrass
athletes.
you.
Harry Hill,
So God
owner of
is
IS.
punishing me by embarrassing me. Okay, here's the
He
clip.
knows the truth.
Here's the clip from Game 7 of the World Series. I don't know if they'll say Jay Bell or not. Of course, as we discussed, baseball clips are the hardest to find, especially legit ones. Let's see.
Especially two second basemen.
And of course, this idiot plays a song over this. All right, it is Jay Bell, though. Craig Counsell, Jay Bell both played second base on the team. Craig Counsell was the NLCS MVP in 2001, despite Randy Johnson's 2 victories. And Craig Counsell scored the game-tying and game-winning run in Game 7 with the Marlins. All right, big discussion tonight the rest of the way is the World Series and everything kind of with it. Who to start Game 7 to get to Game 7. Tony La Russa's mistakes, Albert Pujols' perhaps last hurrah. So we'll take phone calls, open up the lines from the old country, 301-850-2484, from the Holy Land, 02-563-1492. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Andy from the East Coast, how you doing, my friend?
Doing well.
Great. Is there anything you want to talk about, or just want to say you're doing well?
No, I just want to see how you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you,
We're doing
Andy.
great.
It's been a
Very
pleasure.
sweet.
Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you
Chodesh
next week.
Tov, also Shabbat Shalom to one and all.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so where are we at? World Series Game 7, once again, Bud Field.
No. World Series Game 6. Because
I know,
it's not
but-
happening Game 7.
I'm gonna play a favorite Ari and say there's gonna be a Game 7.
All right.
Fine. Now, as people like to say, Eddie Gershman, and the OCG has said this once or twice because he's been brainwashed by us media folk. They say, well, anything can happen in Game 7. Not in baseball. Since 1982, there's been 8 Game 7s. The home team is 8-0. The only teams that lose Game 7 at home are the Boston Red Sox, who lost in 46 and 67. But that's, 75. You do not lose Game 7s at home unless you're the Red Sox. The Cardinals get to Game 7. They got this.
You're talking about in the World Series. Because the Yankees lost Game 7 to the Red Sox in 2004 in the ALCS.
Yeah, the ALCS, the Championship Series, whatever. Yeah, no, in
And
the World
Yankees
Series.
beat the Red Sox in Game 7 of the 03 ALCS.
Yeah, and how'd that World Series work out? I can't remember.
Oh, wow. Eddie is on the A game. Hey, for Andy. Okay, but I got to say again, in the World Series, 8-0 since 82, the Cardinals, at the end of the day, did what they were supposed to do. Nice rhyme. They got one in Texas, got the home field advantage. This, to me, I hate to sound cliche or whatever. This is really Game 7 tonight.
But you're gonna. You might hate it, but you're gonna.
Yeah, well, I have to. This is, in my opinion, Game 7
Well,
tonight.
they're going to be playing the next 2 games as Game 7 because it is do or die for them. However, the Cardinals and the Red Sox do have one thing in common.
Right, but not exactly, because you still have to be smart with your pitchers. Because in Game 7, you're going to throw out whatever you can throw out.
Well, let's talk about.
As an example.
I want to talk about Ron Washington's decision because when I first heard, I said genius, and then I backed up and go, I don't know. Ron Washington, who was going to start Derek Collin in Game 7, which would have been tonight on 3 days rest, decides not to do that. He will save Derek Collin tomorrow. Derek Collin has been the best Ranger starter of the World Series. He wants to pitch a complete game in Game 4. Instead, they're going with Louis. So, what are your thoughts about that? If you're going to treat this like a Game 7, You would assume the Rangers.
I like the move.
You like the move, okay?
Why not give them the extra day's rest and have them pitch on a normal, so-called normal rotation rather than rush him back? Because if you rush him back and he gets lit up, then you what do you got for tomorrow night?
And Colby Lewis. Colby Lewis has pitched pretty well in the playoffs overall. Yes, he did lose to the Cardinals in the World Series, but only gave up 2 runs. Overall, ERA under 3. He's 1-1. Decent pitcher. I think Derek Holland will pitch better tomorrow in Game 7. But I guess if you're thinking that way, in my opinion, if there's a Game 7, it's all over. So you would want to somewhat think about Derek Holland to really go for the jugular. But I won't rip Ron Washington for this.
Didn't La Russa say he's not bringing Carpenter back no matter what?
When? For tonight?
Or tomorrow?
He's an idiot if he does. I can't.
Well, somebody asked him about that. He said it's one of the media members asked La Russa if Carpenter would be available Game 6, and La Russa said absolutely not. There was a pause of about 3 seconds and said maybe.
Interesting. It'll be interesting, but you know the saying, I've got to bring this up, Ari, because you know the saying, suck for luck?
Yes.
Well, can't we use that for Bud Selig, as in screw the Jews? This is unbelievable.
It sucks. We had two Game 5s on Cole Nidre in the first round of the playoffs.
two Game 5s on Cole Nidre.
Which involved, of course, my 2 teams, IMAX and the Cardinals, and now this. So Bud Selig's an idiot.
And now the World Series will be on Shabbat. Come on, he's a yid. Can he help us out at all? It's unbelievable.
Look,
you know what?
It sucks.
The biggest haters are our own.
More importantly, how did the new look Tel Aviv Pioneers look tonight?
Well, they didn't play in the first game of the preseason. It was the Lions versus the Tikva Hammers, and
who still are numberless.
Just like last year, Andy, numberless. Of course, Itai Ashkenazi and Adon Yaron were at the game to check out the former team and exchange some hugs. So it was fun to see. But Chaim Schiff took Itai's place. They were actually losing when we left at halftime, believe it or not. So, I don't know, it's preseason. Yonah Bashan, loud as ever.
Was Yonah Bashan suited up or not?
He did not suit up and just coached.
Clipboard.
Just a clipboard man.
Interesting. Anyway, and the commissioner was good?
The commissioner was good. Nice beard. Did not have the baseball keeper, though. He had a black keeper. So, never know.
Oh, wow. That must mean something.
Lady Fred.
Anyway, let's get back to baseball.
Forza Italia.
Okay. All right, Ari, what do you think tonight's going to be?
I think the Cardinals get it done. And I tell you why. I think the Cardinals' offense is better than the Rangers' offense. The Rangers have Josh Hamilton and Beltray, but that 3-4-5, Lance Berkman is very underrated. You have Matt Holliday, of course, Albert Pujols. I think the Cardinals' offense is better.
Former Yankee, Lance Berkman.
Yeah, former Yankee.
For a half a season,
well,
please.
Yeah, but still, Yahoo had them on for a whole year. Me and Andy would always look at that. But I think...
Actually, Yahoo still has them on the Yankees.
Yeah, probably, yes. But to me, the pitching is a wash. Garcia and Lewis are about the same. I think they'll cancel each other out. I think the offense, though, is a little bit better for the Cardinals. I think they get it done. But check this out, guys.
The biggest problem for the Rangers is that Hamilton's hurt, and
he's been hurt the whole series.
Right, his swing is awful. He's not hitting for power at all because he has nothing in his hamstring or something. I don't know, whatever he's done to himself. So that's a big problem there for them. I think, I don't know that they're going to get it done tonight. It's going to be, if they get it done, your trend, and I know you're a trend guy, might get blown up because Texas hasn't lost back-to-back games since, I don't know when.
All right, Anito, I hate to do this to you. We have someone's calling in right now. Could we let you go and bring on the caller and then bring you on to, like you did the other night?
Only if it's not Deep Voice.
No.
Deep Voice?
It's not Deep Voice. It's someone else.
Good. I will go for anyone other than Deep Voice. Hey, good job, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Radio Mike calling from rainy New York City.
Radio Mike, man, good to talk to you. So,
Radio from the rainy.
yes, Radio Mike from Kew Garden Hills. Now, Radio Mike, great World Series so far, 5 games in, a little bit of everything. Pujols 3 home runs. Tony La Russa's...
Well, wait. Let's back up with that Pujols 3 home runs. I happen to be an Albert Pujols fan, but the first home run that he hit in that game was a monster shot, very important home run. The second home run was somewhat meaningful. It extended the lead. It wasn't a big deal.
All right, there you go,
third
baby.
Home run.
Keep going.
The third home run was totally meaningless. It was a blowout at that point. It was 3 home runs, but don't put him in the same breath as Reggie Jackson or Babe Ruth.
Amen, brother. I've been saying this nonstop. I've been saying that he is not as valuable as people think. And by the way, if they do go Game 7 and Chris Carpenter wins, he is the MVP of the series, not Pujols. I don't care that it's only been done 2 other times. The 9th inning homer was an A-Rod homer. Worthless.
Well, we always talk about A-Rod, but another thing that he did that was he put on a hit and run, to keep out of the double play or whatever, and and then it just got him out of an inning. They could have used that run, but the guy in first was trying to steal second base. Pujols didn't make contact, and
Pujols didn't even swing.
Because of Pujols, they ran themselves out of an inning.
Pujols didn't even swing. Forget about make contact. He just let the ball go right by.
That's true. Yes.
It was a high heater,
he
high
really had no
cheese.
chance of swinging at it. It was way outside.
All right, Radio Mike, again, this has been the question throughout the show. We're going to keep asking it nonstop. If you're Tony La Russa and you get to Game 7 tomorrow, do you start Chris Carpenter?
Absolutely, you start Chris Carpenter.
Okay, thank you.
He's a money pitcher. He beats the Phillies 1-0. In that 5th game there. You have to start Chris Carpenter. There's not even a question about that. And see, and one thing that you got to go with your best pitchers. You can't worry about that they're a little sore or they're not going to be able to pitch in 2 weeks. This is Game 6. This is Game 7. This is for all the marbles. They have many months till February to relax, or March till spring training. You got to put it all on the line right now. You got whoever is the best pitcher, you let him pitch, and if he can, if he can pitch 1 inning, you let him pitch 2 innings. You let him go as far as they can. All hands on deck. There's no tomorrow.
Indeed, that's what we've been saying all night. You don't need your pitchers to go a full 9 innings. You don't need a complete game shutout. You just need a couple of solid innings to keep your team in it.
If I was ordered a menu, okay, if I have a menu in front of me, and I had to order something, I'd say I'll take 5 innings of Chris Carpenter. That's it. 5 innings. If he gives up 2 runs, that's workable. We can deal with that. I don't want Loesch in blowing this thing up.
Yes, I agree 100%. But, if Carpenter till he looks bad, you leave him in. If he's, looks bad out there, you can take him out in the 2nd inning, if you have to. But if he's pitching well, he's making his pitches, he has good philosophy, good break on his curveball, you leave him in 5, 6, 7 innings, whatever, he's a money pitcher. I'll take Chris Carpenter on my team.
Also, I'm going to give an analogy out there. He's 36 years old, and I used to play a little street basketball back in the day. Nothing, it's Arizona. But someone said to me, this guy was like mid-30s, and he said that's really when you play your best because you don't have a lot left. It's not like late 20s when you're kind of worried about getting injured because you don't want to give up years on your street basketball playing career. But Chris Carpenter might be at the age of 36. He's won a Cy Young. He's won a World Series. But he kind of knows this could be it. Could be something a little extra in the tank of Chris Carpenter.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're a little bit more mature. You know that you're not going to be in the World Series every year. This is your spotlight. This is your time. Either you make it now or you may never make it again. And people don't realize that sometimes, I think it was Brett Saberhagen. He was pitching in the World Series when he was 21 years old. And he thought that was going to be an every-year event.
Right.
And, of course, he eventually ends up on the Mets and doesn't even have a sniff of the World Series after that. But you got to go with, you get a little more mature. You appreciate what you have now, and you give it all you can when you're 36 years old. That's it. You're not going to get another chance.
Radio Mike.
Possibly.
Yes, not everybody is Nolan Ryan. pitch till their mid-40s.
Radio Mike,
Ryan is an anomaly.
Radio Mike, you kind of scared me because you said you're very mature. I first thought that meant me. I got a little nervous. But no, you meant Chris Carpenter. You meant like Chris Carpenter is very mature. Okay, anyway. Point being, though, we asked if Tony La Russa should. Now let's ask if Tony La Russa will. Will Tony La Russa start Chris Carpenter if we get to Game 7?
Yes.
You think he will? Okay, because he's had a terrible series. He's cost the Cardinals probably 2 wins. But you think he'll get it together and do the right decision tomorrow night?
Yes.
Okay.
I think only Tony La Russa knows what Tony La Russa knows, and that's it. It's a toss-up right there with the vegan.
It's hard to understand what Tony La Russa does sometimes. Hopefully, his phone is going to work to the bullpen this time. And
yeah, they're in their home field. It has to.
Yeah, to bring in a pitcher to intentionally walk a batter, I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Well, the only way he was able to get Lynn off the mound was he had to do something with the batter that was there. He couldn't just throw one pitch.
Right.
He has to either Lynn gets injured on that one pitch, and then he's gone for pretty much the series, or he takes care of one batter, however that is.
Once the mistake of Braden Lynn was in, then they had to pitch to him. But the question when he gets to the mound and asks, "What are you doing here?" is one of the worst things I've ever heard a manager say. And this is from Tony La Russa's own account. So he's had a brutal series. Any chance he gets fired after this if the Cardinals lose? Probably not. But
that's a stretch.
No, he's not getting fired. But Albert Pujols, what do you think, Radio Mike? Cardinal uniform next year?
Are they going to? I'm sorry.
Do you think Albert Pujols will be in a Cardinal uniform next year?
Well, you do have some crazy teams like the Washington Nationals, and they're, it's a possibility. They went crazy with Worth from Philadelphia, and he certainly was worthless this past year. But he wasn't that great with Philadelphia the year before. They might spend a lot of money for Pujols. There's also a possibility, and the Met fans might not like to hear this, that they might actually take Jose Reyes to the Washington Nationals. I tell you, it's not a done deal that he's going to go back to St. Louis. I would say it's 50-50.
Interested.
I wouldn't call that 50-50. I would say more like an 85-15, and I'm giving 15 points right there. Albert Pujols is to St. Louis just like the arches over there. He's not moving. He's going to be there next season, all fans in St. Louis.
It's an unfortunate thing. If the Cardinals offer him $200 million and the Washington Nationals offer him $250 million, he'll go to the Washington Nationals.
I don't think so. I don't think he's going there for $50 million.
The Washington Nationals are much improved. They have a couple of young pitchers that are coming up. Strasburg hopefully is doing better. Tin Man Wong, who got injured while he was with the Yankees, he did pitch some good games down the stretch. The last, I think it was like 4-4 or 5-5 or something of that sort. He can come back. The Nationals might have a half-decent team next year, and
yes, they'll be sporting Prince Fielder, but not Albert Pujols.
I like this, guys. Firstly, guys, the argument. That's excellent. That's what sports talks about. I don't argue enough. But let me put this point out to Radio Mike. Will the Nationals offer him $250 million? I mean, you make this great point, but they overpaid for Jason Worth. So you think they say we already overpaid for one guy, it didn't work out, but let's overpay for this guy and get him. And will $250 from Washington get him? Will that be enough?
Yeah, I think so.
I would be remiss to say that. And
so you two need to make a bet, because me and Radio Mike made a bet. I lost. I owe Radio Mike dinner when he comes to Israel. We made a bet of who would go fight.
No, you won the bet.
I won the bet
because I still owe you that meal. So you did well that the Red Sox didn't even make the playoffs, and the Yankees made the playoffs. So the next time I get to Israel, and I'm not sure when that's going to be, it will be hopefully in the next number of months, I'm taking you out to dinner.
Oh, right. So, that's right. I won the bet. I bet so often I forget when I... No, I'm kidding. But you two need to make some type of bet. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything big. Cookies or something, whatever. But something about... Yeah. I mean, okay, you say 50-50. This is a weird... I don't know how we do a bet exactly, because if Albert Pujols goes to the Cardinals...
Yeah, you say it's the other 50.
Doesn't mean Radio Mike's wrong. How about an odds bet?
I would say the Nationals, and again, this is not really going to help Ari much, but I would say the Nationals are sooner will have a much better opportunity to pluck somebody, say, like a Prince Fielder from the Brewers than somebody as Pujols from the Cardinals, especially for that.
You might have a point there. I'm not sure what Prince Fielder is asking either, and I'm not sure how.
And if you want to pay for, and if you want to overpay for a player, Prince Fielder is the one.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure how serious Milwaukee is about re-signing Prince Fielder. I'm not sure how much Prince Fielder is demanding or wants, and so it could go either way. I can see Prince Fielder going to the Nationals, or Prince Fielder re-signing with the Milwaukee Brewers as well.
Prince Fielder, you can't trust him because he's a vegetarian. That's not as bad as a vegan like Tony La Russa, but Tony La Russa is pale white. Okay, that's
dyed his hair.
Dyed his hair. He can't think straight. He can't hear phone calls or make phone calls. That's because of the vegan. Prince
And
Fielder
he talks nonsense
Prince Fielder is
to the press.
Yes. And Prince Fielder is one step below that with his vegetarianism. Radio Mike, we'll come up with something, but we got to let you go, my friend. But thanks for calling in Lewis Live tonight.
All right, thanks.
Peace
Take
out.
care.
Shabbat shalom. And we're going to let the fun keep on rolling. We have another call, and we're going to take it. Caller, are you there?
Hello.
Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Name's Yochanan. I'm calling from Brooklyn.
Yochanan
What's
from
up,
Brooklyn.
Yochanan from Brooklyn in the house.
What's up, Yossi?
That's it. That's the one. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, let's start with the Jets. It's a little more current.
Oh, you New Yorkers. Hello, there's a World Series going on. It's Game 6 tonight.
Nobody cares about the World Series. It's between two Midwest teams.
Tonight.
You guys are killing me. Go ahead, New Yorkers. Talk your little Jets. I'll get the
You're
Jets.
just jealous that the Cardinals of Arizona suck.
They do suck. It's true. It's true. They do suck.
We can talk about some Cardinals. Yes, the Arizona Cardinals suck.
Yeah, they do. They suck.
7-point project is not exactly working out. But on a little bit more, the one thing I worry about with the Jets, honestly, and you're probably hearing this a lot, is Mark Sanchez.
Well, why do you worry about Sanchez so much? Especially because Fireman Fred disagrees with you.
There you go,
Fireman Ed.
Yochanan. Mark Sanchez, first of all, Yochanan, Mark Sanchez is one playoff road win away from having the most playoff road wins in history.
Well, when your team is 10-6 constantly, that's not saying that much.
Okay.
What worries me is that he still hasn't shown the ability to make the big plays the entire game.
I think really that has to do with Schottenheimer. But I think that has to do with Schottenheimer not allowing him, not giving him the opportunity to do that, kind of curbing his ability as a playmaker. We obviously see that when the pocket breaks down, he can scramble, he can extend plays and things as such. But when you actually break down the plays and see what he's being given, I mean, it took the Jets 7 games to discover a 6'5", 220+ pound target that was sitting on their bench, and then once they discovered that target, look at what happened.
All the reports have been saying that it's because of a lack of rapport between Sanchez and Burris, but I think it's a lot has to do with Sanchez. You look at his eyes, you look at the way he's looking at the field. He lost Kotri. I think Kotri was a big thing for him.
Yeah, that was a big mistake for letting them go.
He was a big receiver, but.
And it also doesn't help when you have your biggest target or rather the person, as you put it, that he has the most rapport with, being Dustin Keller, averaging 1.5 drops a game. Nothing bigger than the strip fumble that was caused to him in the first quarter.
Yeah, that was a little embarrassing to see.
So do you think that Mark Sanchez should stick to GQ magazine interviews and photo shoots? Mark Sanchez, do you think that Sanchez should better stick to GQ magazine photo shoots and interviews rather than the playing field? Kind of like our man who's down in Arizona somewhere who used to once upon a time?
I didn't hear the question.
Wow, you're killing me here. Do you think that Sanchez should better stick to Hollywood than to the playing field?
Something he has shown that he has given up a little bit on that. As I said, the Playboy lifestyle that a lot of people were worried about coming in.
Right.
He's shown that he could hang with the big boys and take it seriously, and he looks like he's having a lot of fun when he plays. at the same time, there's sometimes that look of I don't know where I am.
So you're kind of questioning the maturity level of him.
It's working for him, and it's just, he looks lost sometimes.
So would you say that it's a bit of the maturity? He hasn't really been able to grow, and perhaps Pete Carroll was correct when he said that Sanchez should have stayed more than just 1 year in college?
I don't agree with that simply because of the fact that he is an NFL quarterback. There's no question about that. You look at what he's done. He is an NFL quarterback.
But he could be. But maybe he could have been better than he is already. Perhaps he could have taken Rex Ryan to the Super Bowl.
I really don't think a year in college would have changed that. I think it's better that he left early. I think the maturing process happens faster in the NFL. Look at Andy Dalton, for example. Everyone said he wouldn't be ready, and he's doing fine.
Right.
I mean, you've got Cincinnati at 4-2. The defense is obviously helping out there a lot, but
I think that this problem with the Jets is bigger than just one player being Sanchez. I think the problem is Rex Ryan.
I think a lot of it falls on him.
I think the problem here is Rex Ryan because the Jets have consistently proven that they cannot play a full 60-minute game under the head coach.
This is true.
So I think that really, yes, you take a look at players, you can name specific ones. You can say it's Sanchez. You can say perhaps it's the lack of rapport between he and Burris. You can say it's Keller dropping passes, and if Bill Parcells was still the head coach of the Jets, he would have Keller would have been long gone, as that is the Tuna's philosophy. If it's in your hands, you have to catch it. But really...
Yeah, look at the Dolphins now.
Correct. Tony Sperano's got his $1.4 million house in Davie, Florida up for sale because he's likely going to get the axe within the next week or two. But really, with the Jets, getting back to the point, I think it is Rex Ryan. And as much as he is a big mouth, and finally he said, I will guarantee no more guarantees, and he's kind of taking away the diva effect a little bit, if you may, from himself by doing that. It is really a big issue, the fact that he is a defensive genius, but when it comes to offense, it's kind of a moot point where it's, I don't know anything about this. This is not how I play football. And therefore, the Jets play 30 minutes of defensive football, but the 30 minutes of offensive football, it's been problematic.
But that's the thing. Shouldn't that, I mean, everyone's talking about Schottenheimer being a possible head coach. You can't be a head coach if you can't get the offensive side of the ball down pat. If
that's the case, that Shoddy is going to become the head coach after Ryan, I am going to move to Green Bay and become a singular football team fan.
All right, guys, we got to wrap things up because we have a guest coming on. But in a nutshell, fellas, again, I don't know how we're talking Jets football with the World Series, but in any case, my opinion, Mark Sanchez is a glorified Trent Dilfer. But that being said, Trent Dilfer, at one point, he was 15-0 in his career. 15
and he won the Super Bowl.
And won a Super Bowl. He knew his role, and I think Mark Sanchez is a little bit better. I think he has more talent. This is only his third year in the league. But with that running game and the defense, that should be enough, in my opinion, to get a Super Bowl ring. A little bit better for Trent Dilfer. What are you guys' thoughts?
Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They did it with Big Ben and the Buffs and the running game and the defense. Big Ben threw 15
They almost did it with Cordell Stewart.
You've had a couple of bad or average quarterbacks win a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson with Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl, for example. It's out there. It's possible. Not everyone's got to be Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. They don't win all the Super Bowl.
And even Peyton only won one.
And Peyton only won one. Big Ben has more Super Bowl wins than Peyton. Mark Sanchez has a great playoff record, and he, at the end of the day, knows what he's supposed to do. So I used to rip on this guy nonstop, but I have a little more respect for now. Anyways, Yochanan, thanks so much for calling in Louis Live. Don't be a stranger. Call in future shows, please.
All right, will do.
Shabbat Shalom, Chodesh Tov.
Take care.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back from the Washington Insider, Jim Williams will discuss the terrible baseball ratings of this World Series, the NBA lockout, and much, much more. Probably not Jets football, but stay tuned. We'll be back after this. Are you having computer issues? You just got to try these guys. Tiger Computer Services, 050-708-1599. All of Jerusalem is talking about them. They're super experienced, efficient, reliable, and honest. Their lead technician has over 20 years experience and holds a BS in computer science from a top American university. Mickey from Macavia says, I won't let anybody touch my computers except for Tiger. So call Tiger Computer Services, 050-708-1599. Believe me, you'll be happy that you did. Ruben from Baca says, I've had many technicians in the past, and these guys are some of the best I've seen. Laptops, desktops, netbooks, Macintoshes, iPods, iPhones. All hardware and software problems, advice, and instruction. The next time you need a very experienced and honest computer technician, call Tiger Computer Services at 050-708-1599. Mention Israel Sports Radio for a 15% discount for all new customers. Are you living in the Tel Aviv area and looking to achieve those fitness goals that seem out of reach? If so, personal trainer Leon Kessler is just one call away. Leon will teach, coach, advise, supervise, and support you so that you are able to accomplish your fitness goals. One call to 050-792-2434 will put your goals in reach. That's 050-792-2434, or click on the Leon Kessler banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and see what Leon can do for you.
Midreshet Devora, a Dati Leumi post-high school program which educates minds and broadens horizons. Located in Baca, the lovely Jerusalem neighborhood provides an excellent background and setting for a tremendous education. Our students learn, love, and feel the land of Israel and get tools which will last them a lifetime. Generous scholarships are available. Please contact us at midreshetdevora.org. Call us from Israel at 052-534-6260 or from North America at 718-593-4162. Midreshet Devora, we're the program you've been waiting for.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
Back here on Louis Live, thank you to all our callers. This has been a very entertaining evening, of course, of the World Series Game 6 tonight.
And Jets talk football.
Oh, God. You New Yorkers or something else. But in any case, discuss the World Series, other sport stories, and the business side of sports, as we do every Thursday at 11 p.m. from the Washington Examiner, Jim Williams. Jim, how you doing out there?
I'm well, thank you. Good to hear from you guys again. Hope everybody had a good holiday.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of fun.
Awesome.
It's great to get back to sports, though, as well. And before we get into Tony La Russa's whatever that was in Game 5 and all the pitching decisions, let's talk about the business side, the ratings. The ratings probably at the end of the day won't be as bad as last year with Giants-Rangers, but obviously not what Bud Selig would really, really like. So talk about what exactly the reason. You have Albert Pujols, arguably the game's best player. Yes, you have two Midwest cities, but is there something else we're missing of why the ratings are not so well?
Actually, the ratings are good.
Oh, okay. I got that wrong. I apologize.
They beat Sunday Night Football and they beat Monday Night Football. So for the first time in, I think it's 5 years, when they've gone head-to-head up against the NFL, they beat them not just one night, but both nights.
Interesting enough. So then my question would be, Bud Selig started Game 1 in the middle of the week on a Wednesday.
Right.
Normally you'd have the World Series on the weekend, Saturday night, Sunday, and then if it's 7 games, you repeat. Did Bud Selig make a mistake then by not having the World Series on weekend games? He's going to get kind of lucky with this rain delay, but his initial plan was to have 4 games.
I think that they did it right because they're in the middle of a rating sweep here in the United States, and basically what they did is they took a night which Wednesday night is relatively an open night. Thursday night, you can get some traction in that as well. So I think they did a fine thing. Then Friday night they would be off, so they wouldn't be up against any, there's nothing there that's going to affect them Friday night. Then Saturday night, Sunday, you're basically, as I said, on Saturday night you'd be up against college football. On Sunday night you'd be up against pro football, and I think they realized that, sports fans expect to see World Series on the weekends. So they got their 2 days in then, and then, of course, they had the Monday night situation, which, I think it was a perfect storm. I mean, look at the situation on Sunday night. The football game was a laugher. On Monday night, it was a crier. So you had the yin and the yang. The NFL didn't put exactly their best product up against the World Series. And to be honest, I mean, I know those who've been paying attention, these have been some very compelling baseball games, with the exception of that one, blowout.
Indeed, that is true. That the World Series has been very, very compelling, kind of drawing many viewers whoever have tuned in to stay on their couches and watch. But getting more onto the point now, as Game 6 and possibly Game 7 approaching, what would you say with the decision that we hear coming down from Texas with Ron Washington, if there is a possibility of a Game 7, that he's going to be going with Matt Harrison as opposed to the hot hand Derek Holland?
Well, I think that Ron Washington is not... Why would you say that you're going to go with your best pitcher when you want to play a little gamesmanship? Right now, if I'm the manager of the Texas Rangers, I don't even want to think about Game 7.
Yeah, fair enough.
Game 7 is not on my radar. Game 6, I win it. It's over tonight. I don't even want to think that there is a Game 7. As far as I'm concerned, if I'm Ron Washington, the only thing we're concerned about when we are in the locker room or when we're talking is I don't want to talk about a Game 7. I don't even accept that there's going to be a Game 7.
And of course,
when you start talking about Game 7, you're assuming you're going to lose Game 6.
And of course, since 1982 in the World Series, there's been Game 7 8 times. The home team is 8-0, so it's certainly not something Ron Washington wants to deal with. Let's go the other side of the coin. Tony La Russa, a bit of confusion in Game 5. The bullpen coach apparently didn't hear what it was said. A lot of confusion there. What percentage of the story do you think is accurate? Is Tony La Russa saying what really happened out there?
Well, I think here's what I find hard to believe. Okay, you've got your pitching coach, you've got your bullpen coach, you've got everybody out there. Everybody has sat down in a meeting during the course of the day. Tony La Russa says, these are the pitchers I want to go with. These are the guys we're not going to pitch under any circumstances. If he gets a call out there and he hears the name, whomever, and that guy's not supposed to pitch, and even if it's Tony, he's thinking, well, wait a minute, we had a meeting about this. Hold on. Are you sure this is the guy you want?
Right.
And Tony says, this is the guy I want. It is almost inconceivable to me. And look, I am sure that the stadium there is loud and raucous, okay? There's no question about that. But it's almost inconceivable to me that the bullpen coach could screw things up that badly. I mean, it's almost inconceivable. And the fact that he would have a guy up, warming up, that they've talked about earlier in the day isn't even going to see action is almost a fireable offense. I mean, what the heck? You've got one responsibility if you're the bullpen coach. Keep the relievers straight.
Do you think it's time to get into perhaps 21st century text messaging, BlackBerry messaging, something along those lines, just to make sure that you got the right name?
Well, it's not that tough. You could literally, okay, fine, he's out there. You could literally, send someone out to the bullpen and say, look, for some reason we can't get there. I agree with you that there's no reason why there couldn't be a cell phone. Somebody's got a cell phone out there, and you call them and say, hey, look, for some reason I'm not getting through on the other line. Let me see if I can try this one. But yeah, there's no question. You're not hiding anything. Okay, once a guy gets up to pitch, you've got two guys out there, warming up. If it's a left-hander or a right-hander, you could almost go to the boards that they use in the UEFA league and put up numbers. If you can't get through, put up a number. And so, it's like I want 33 and 41 warming up. So, it really doesn't, to me, seem that far-fetched that they could do something along those lines.
It sounds pretty common sense to me. I can't really figure it out. But I would say this, though. If we do get to Game 7 again, I want to be very, very much positive about this because I'm a Cardinals fan. I would want to know, if you're Tony La Russa, do you start Chris Carpenter on 3 days rest? If you're the manager, what do you do?
Tony said yesterday that he does not want to do anything that would jeopardize the career of Chris Carpenter. That being said, if Carpenter comes up and stands in front of Tony and says, I want the ball, it's going to be very difficult for Tony to say no. But, as we all know, in Game 7s of whether it be the World Series or division playoffs or league championship playoffs, it's pretty much everybody on deck because what are you holding for spring training? I mean, there's no reason to do it.
there is no tomorrow.
So basically, if you think Carpenter can give you 3 innings, you're back to spring training. You're back to throwing 3 innings, 3 innings, and 3 innings, if that's where it'll get you by. So if you think if you're Tony La Russa and you think Chris Carpenter gives you the best chance to win Game 7, then the ball goes to Chris Carpenter.
All right. So, and also, I made this point. Chris Carpenter's 36 years old. Might be his last go around, and he might, as a result of that, go to Tony La Russa and say, "You have to start me." And we're going to
adrenaline pumping.
We talked to Shlomo Leibitz, who plays in Israel, and he talked about the adrenaline being a factor as well. And one last question on baseball. Albert Pujols, is he more likely to leave the Cardinals if they win the World Series or if they lose the World Series?
I think he's more likely to leave. I don't think that the Cardinals, if they win the World Series, I think they might get a small hometown discount, but not much. He's a very proud man, and I truly do not think that Albert, at the end of the day, I would say there's probably a 60% chance that Albert stays in St. Louis.
Interesting.
I think that he wants to get paid. He understands that this, is a contract. He wants to be paid as the best player in baseball, and I believe that it's quite possible you could see Albert Pujols in a Cubs uniform, you could see him in a Nationals uniform, or you could see him. I don't think he'll go to the American League.
We had
want to play in the National League.
We had a caller called Radio Mike that talked about him going to the Nationals. I made the point the Nationals overpaid for worth, and said the Nationals might offer maybe $250 million. If the Nationals do pursue him, what type of contract would they offer Albert Pujols?
I have no idea. I know that it would be in excess of $200 million. I know that would be the case. But Mr. Lerner, Ted Lerner, who owns the Nationals, is a very, very phenomenal guy. He's in his 80s. His son, Mark Lerner, who was more of a day-to-day guy. They're very active in the Jewish community in the in the Washington area. They when Ted or Lerner, when one of the reporters went to Ted Lerner and said, "Well, do you feel that you overpaid for Jason Worth?" He stopped the man dead in his tracks, and he said to the reporter, "It's only overpaying if you can't afford it."
Well
That's
said.
a great line.
If I want to pay $10 for a diet soda, and you got it for $1, you got a better deal than I did. If I pay $10 and I can afford to pay $10, then to me, it's not overpaying. So I didn't overpay for Jason Worth because that's what I wanted to spend for him. I had the money, I spent it.
Well said.
Well,
so I believe that there will be probably 4 teams out there, which will include the Cardinals, that will be actively pursuing Albert Pujols. But I don't necessarily feel that whether he wins the World Series or loses the World Series, is going to, in any way, shape, or form, predicate whether or not Albert Pujols hits the free agent market in a few weeks.
Well, talking about...
Now, he may give them one last chance to do a deal before he hits the free agent market, but they better come into it strongly, and I don't know. And let's just hit one last quick thing, and that is with the Pujols situation. It's not like the Cardinals are a poor baseball market. I mean, the Cardinals can afford to pay the money that Albert wants if Albert wants the $200 million mark. They could hit that and it wouldn't hurt them. But it's like anything else. It's whether or not you feel that the athlete over time is worth the amount of money that you're going to give them.
Well, along those lines, but moving on to another sport with regards to money and people being apart from each other, we're hearing here that the NBA meetings between the Player Association and the owners, they're trying to get themselves back together onto the same table. This coming after last week Thursday, when even the mediator said there was no point until you can agree on more substantial things. One of the main issues that the players are disagreeing with the owners is that the players have proposed lowering the guaranteed basketball-related income to 52.5%. The owners have insisted on a 50-50. That basically leaves both sides about $100 million apart based on last year's revenues. They're also arguing, obviously, on the length of contracts and the raises that are attached to these contracts. Of course, together, this all goes along with the luxury tax penalties were teams to exceed the salary cap. What are your thoughts on the NBA meetings, or the likelihood that there will be games played this season?
I believe there will be games played this season. I don't believe that there will be games played this year, in the calendar year of 2011. I know that the owners have basically said to David Stern that, we really are not going to move on a handful of issues. Those are issues that philosophically the players see them entirely different. When you get in philosophical differences as opposed to concrete, numbers, you begin to make it difficult to negotiate. And I think that what they're doing right now, with no pun intended, is putting on a full court press to see if they can begin to hone those philosophical situations. But make no mistake about it, the National Basketball Association went to school on what the NHL did when they tanked that entire season. And they were able to basically restructure things, get things back, and come out of it in a far better financial state than they went into it, as well as making some of the franchises, most of the franchises, better off. I don't think that we are at the Armageddon situation where they're going to tank a season, talking about the NBA at this point. But I do believe that a 50-game schedule is more likely than an 82-game schedule, unless something incredibly amazing happens over the next 24 to 48 hours.
All right, Jim, last question of the night for you. It's funny because Tony Dungy rips somewhat on his former quarterback Peyton Manning by saying if the Colts go 0-16, which after Monday night's performance looks very possible, then you got to take Andrew Luck and if need be trade Peyton Manning. What are your thoughts? If the Colts are 0-16, do you go with Andrew Luck or maybe package that pick and give Peyton another shot and assume that he's going to recover very well from the neck surgery?
I talked to two scouts. One, a guy by the name of Chris Landry, who some of you may or may not know. Chris is very highly thought of player personnel guy who's basically runs a service who rates players. And when Chris and I talked about Andrew Luck, he said, look, Andrew Luck is a once-in-a-lifetime. He's like a Steven Strasburg of pro football. He's a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback in this regard. As we all know, we now have a new collective bargaining agreement in place in the NFL. So the amount of money that would be paid Andrew Luck is about a third of what Andrew Luck would have gotten had he come out last year.
Wow.
So at the money versus the talent versus the overall risk-reward situation, Andrew Luck is as close to a can't-miss player in the way of a franchise quarterback as you're going to ever find. Regardless of whether you have a Peyton Manning or not, you have to look at that and say, do I take Andrew Luck with the idea that Peyton Manning hopes, and all of our doctors say, that Peyton's going to come back and perhaps be as good as ever. But, let's face it, Peyton Manning we're dealing with a guy who has an issue, a spinal issue. I mean, this is a very, very serious issue. So you're going to have to think long and hard as to whether or not you either draft Andrew Luck or can you get a boatload of draft choices for him. The answer to that question is yes. But then what happens, and this is, there's a lot of what ifs in this, but what happens if Peyton Manning is unable to return to the Indianapolis Colts as the quarterback due to some, God forbid, medically related issue? If that is the case, then you've given away your chance at a franchise quarterback, even though you've got a boatload of draft picks.
So that leads into, if that being the case, would you rather take Andrew Luck, have him sit possibly behind Peyton for a season or two or three, kind of what happened with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, or would you package, as Ari mentioned, would you send him away to another team with a score full of draft picks, which you can also plug other holes in your aging club?
It's a tough call. I would say, personally, I would keep him. I would draft him and keep him, and I would learn him, give him a chance to learn behind arguably the master of quarterbacking, and I would have my insurance policy there. I think that financially, as I said, if you're going to get him for a third of what you could have got him, what he would have gotten the year before, you would be foolish to trade away a franchise quarterback, and they don't come along that often. You would be a fool to trade away that situation, because not only, let's say up to the downside. The downside is in 5 years you've got arguably one of the great quarterback possibilities of all time, because you now have you basically have Joe Montana turning the ball over to Steve Young.
Right.
Great point.
In that regard, or you have, as you said before, you have the situation of turning the Brett Favre situation of turning the ball over to Aaron Rodgers. If you turn around and you've filled some holes, but you turn around and your quarterback is I don't know who, it really doesn't do you much good.
Great point.
Indeed.
All right. Jim, we got to run, but thanks so much for being on Louis Live tonight.
Guys, it's always a pleasure, and you guys, I got to give you credit. You get A's for asking questions. You always ask very intelligent questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Jim Williams for the Washington Examiner. Have Shabbat Shalom, and we'll speak next week.
Shabbat Shalom to all of you, and we look forward to chatting again next Thursday.
All right, great.
Take care.
Have a good one.
All right, be well.
All right, what we're going to do is now, believe it or not, we're not going to take commercial break. We're going to take calls in a moment. But, I've got to tell you, I get goosebumps. Now, there is a Game 6 tonight. Again, we have not had a Game 7 since 2002. But something very touching. I'm seriously getting goosebumps when I'm saying this for a lot of different reasons. But basically,
he knows his team's going to lose.
No, that's not related to that. This is not even related to the Cardinals at all. In 1991, there was a man by the name of Jack Buck that announced the World Series between the Twins and the Braves. In my opinion, the greatest World Series that ever took place. You had 5 games and the final at bat. You had it go 7 games. You had it decided by a sacrifice fly, more or less, in Game 7. Probably the most dramatic moment happened in Game 6. But in any case, when this moment happened in Game 6, which I'm about to play to you, Jack Buck said, "We'll see you tomorrow night." And that was it. Beautiful announcing. And I've announced at a very local level, not a World Series, obviously anything big, but sometimes less is more, and it was beautiful. In 2002, again, the last time there was a Game 7 of the World Series, Jack's son Joe, who was announced in the game, and again, this was 3 months after his father passed away, I believe. And I was watching this game in a hotel in Arizona. It was between the Angels and the Dodgers. And the Angels, of course, were down in Game 6. They pull out the rally monkey, whatever, and they get back and they win the game. And as K-Rod was about to finish the game, I thought to myself, is Joe going to say the same thing his father did 11 years ago? He said that. He said, we'll see you tomorrow night in honor of his father. So before we take any calls, I actually want to play this clip. It's just a great clip. This is Kirby Puckett, Game 6 of the 1991 World Series. Let's take a listen. And again, this could be very loud because the Metrodome was very, very loud and whatever. Take a listen.
Touch, and they choke the ball. The hitter swings at the arm mostly. Into deep left center for Mitchell, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Just beautiful. And if you notice, you have the crowd noise. Everyone's running in. Kirby Puckett sends his team to Game 7 with the extra innings home run. This was in the 11th, by the way. And, again, great World Series, great call. Joe Buck is not announcing the World Series tonight, but hopefully someone will say, we'll see you tomorrow night in honor of Jack Buck. But on that note, we're now going to take some calls. If you want to reach me in the Holy Land, 025631492. And from the Old Country, 301-850-2484. And we have a caller. Caller, are you there?
How you doing? It's NBA Dave.
NBA Dave, long time no speak. I was a little concerned that we might have to call you Basketball Dave. With no season, some things are being worked out. What's your take right now, and what are the odds we're going to get some games this season?
I'll tell you the truth. I'm not so convinced that there's going to be a season. I'm not, I know you had a...
Wait, NBA Day, real quick, are you outside or something? Just we hear a little static.
Yeah, I hear it too, but I'm indoors on a local phone. You know what? Should I give you a call right back?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we'll take a break. Call us right back. We need to take a break anyway. So take a break. We'll take a break and have you call back. You're listening to Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Offering the best of Israel at the best price, Shalom Israel Tours can help you make your next trip to Israel the adventure of a lifetime. Shalom Israel Tours will customize a trip to Israel for your family or group. Specializing in bar mitzvah packages, outdoor adventure vacations, wine tours, and more, Shalom Israel Tours is sure to inspire. So whether you're looking for a customized trip, a day tour, or a car rental, Shalom Israel Tours is here to help. Email us at inspire@shalomisraeltours.com or click the banner on the Israel Sports Radio homepage, and soon you will find yourself in Israel. That's Shalom Israel Tours, www.shalomisraeltours.com.
Are you ready to get serious about your health and fitness? iFit trainers provide one-on-one personal training and put together the best fitness program to get the right results for you. Find your I in fit. We offer certified personal trainers with elite athletic experience and flexible hours at the convenience of your own home. Classes are offered in English and in Hebrew. We serve Jerusalem and the surrounding areas. For more information and to schedule your first workout session, call Alyssa at 054-759-7280 or email Alyssa, ELISSA, at i-fit.co.il. Visit us at www.i-fit.co.il or click on the iFit banner on the Israel Sports Radio homepage.
Feeling overwhelmed with all you have to do? Let your personal shopper help. Chani is an experienced gift shopper and can help free up your day. Chani can assist you in finding the perfect gift for your upcoming simchas or pick up those light items at the grocery. And don't forget, if you are in the area of the Israel Center on Karen HaYesod, stop by on Monday or Tuesday between 8:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. to check out all the great gifts Chani has to offer. For more information, call 02-654-2155 or email chani@netvision.net.il. Don't forget to check out her great website at www.chanisgifts.com.
Israel Sports Dynamic specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Shutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Okay, back on Louis Live, and I believe we have the technical problems settled. NBA Dave, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Much better. Okay, this sounds great. So, again, your thoughts on the chances of us having any? Obviously, not have a full season; it's already been canceled, part of it. But what are your feelings, thoughts about the odds having a 50-game season, let's say, this year?
I'll tell you the truth. I don't think there's any basketball this year in the NBA. I've been, following very minimally because I sort of tanked it for myself. But I do follow on Twitter, some of the Yahoo writers and Chris Broussard and the NBA itself, obviously. I gotta say that these talks are going and going and going, and those sides are moving, and they keep on putting different deadlines, and they're just gonna cancel it chunk by chunk. And I think
NBA Dave, I gotta cut you off. I have never heard you this sad before. I mean, your voice, I can't believe it. This is crushing you, man. Hold on. Have faith. There's a possibility. There's chances. David, come on.
I got to tell you, I mean, it's almost like too late in the game to get me excited for basketball anymore.
Oh, God. I feel so bad for you, and I host a sports talk show, and I definitely feel more for you than for me, even though this will kind of screw us up in the air. Okay.
Yeah, listen, it's a bummer. I mean, I'm just like watching old games and thinking, wow, is this like the end of the sport? Did it die? Is it over? Is there a funeral? I'm like,
no, that's what happened to baseball.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
But look at it. Nothing's happened yet, per se, in the canceling of the season. I said that in June that there was going to be no NBA season to begin with. That was June. But even so, what really shows me that there's still a possibility for there to be games, albeit maybe not before Christmas or New Year's, but you have the owners and the player association, they just, after 3 straight days of meetings last week, Thursday they go ahead and they go their separate ways almost, and then already this week again we're hearing rumors that they are actually getting back together onto the table, and the 3 main issues that they seem to be having, which is the revenue sharing, the contract lengths, and the luxury tax penalties, that those are the key issues. And yet, even though that is the biggest problems, the biggest hurdles, nonetheless, they are actually trying to find a method for which they could come together to a middle ground.
Yeah, they are working, and listen, as long as there are talks, I guess you can't really give up. As long as they're talking, I mean, the worst thing would be if they weren't talking. As long as they're talking, it's a good sign. Listen, I'm very against the Players Association as far as the luxury tax. I'm all for a hard cap in the NBA. I think it would make for franchises to have equal opportunity, like you have in the NFL, where instead of having dynasties that go on forever and leaving different markets out of the competition, I'm all for a hard cap. The other issues, and the same would go obviously for contract length. Other than that, it really is like been tuning out of basketball, and I've been sending emails to all different sources of media. Of course, I voiced it over here on Israel Sports Radio that the NBA is doing themselves such a disservice by having this fight, and just from the fact that they're losing fans, they're losing viewers, and they're losing, people that were so gung-ho about basketball, just a few months ago, and, with the whole Miami Heat phenomenon, the letdown, the bust of the Dream Team, and Dirk and his finally breaking through and winning that title. I mean, there was so much hype, and basketball really had one of its glory years last year. and they're just losing it, and they're losing it every day, losing more and more. They're losing it to football. They're losing it to baseball. You know, they may even lose it to hockey. Can you believe that?
Yes, I can, actually. I can very much believe that they're losing it to hockey after the stupendous job that the NHL and their Players Association did, the owners and as well as the players, after canceling a whole season and really turning that sport around and bringing it to the forefront of everybody's homes in North America. However, I have a question for you, and that is, with regards to the owners in the NBA, don't you think that it is partially their fault in regards, you brought up the luxury tax, that you're against it with on the players' side, but I actually think it's the owners' fault, because they go ahead and they give these ridiculous, or rather, as I like to say, the redunculous, no pun intended, contracts to players who are not deserving of the money and the years of length as well. And what I find is that the players are saying there has to be some sort of responsibility and ownership to the fact that the owners are doing this or have done this in the past, and they do not want this to be done for the future.
Yeah, well, you know, I get you on that. I mean, it definitely is a problem, you know, on the side of the owners. Listen, you got bad management. You know, you got bad management and good management in every sport, and obviously the NBA has got a lot of bad management, i.e. the New York Knicks, you know, up until a year ago, and there are
still bad management, if you ask me, and I'm from New York.
What was that?
Still bad management, if you ask me, and I'm from New York. They should have never made that trade for Carmelo.
Yeah, listen, I don't think the Knicks wanted to make that trade. I think the Knicks had to make that trade. There was too much pressure, and I don't think Walsh, you know, or Cablevision were able to withstand that pressure.
Fair enough.
I also think that besides the pressure, eventually they would have had to make the trade, and it may have come at a bigger price, but they would have had to bring in that second star. I was never a big Carmelo fan, but obviously now I am, just because I'm a loyal Knicks fan. But I do believe, you know, once we're getting onto this, and you know, we've spoken about this, Ari and I, and you know, I do believe that that trade was inevitable. You know, the pieces they gave up. Listen, you know, Felton was really gelling nicely. You know, Gallo was obviously great. And by the way, Gallo had a great game against Israel, against Maccabi Tel Aviv, I should say, the other night. You know, listen, those pieces are pieces that are replaceable. Melo was not a piece that, you know, as much as I don't think he's up to the hype that they're giving him in New York. You know, I do think he was a piece that you can't, when you have the opportunity, you can't really let it.
No, I think with him you can, because you could find offense anywhere. The problem is with defense. Look at what happened with Jordan. Everybody was ripping him on his defense, and he actually went ahead and learned to play defense the way he had done.
I think he was a very underrated defender. Jordan was the 88 Defensive Player of the Year and consistently made all NBA teams, but he was so spectacular offensively, I think they ignored it. NBA Dave, I'm sorry to hear you're so sad, man. My heart is breaking for you, but before we let you go, I don't know what to say. Do you want me? I'm going to the Coastal tomorrow. You want me to throw in something about this?
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you. I'll give you an order, okay? These are the prayers. Okay, first, somehow the Jets could sneak a wild card, because I'm losing faith in them too. Okay, that's the first order of business.
Join on that bandwagon.
Okay. Now I think I'm nervous. You know, people tell me don't worry about the Bills and don't worry about the Steelers and don't worry about the Ravens. You know, well, the Steelers and Ravens obviously AFC North, but I'm somewhat scared of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh, the luck of the Irish.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, you know, Buffalo's been having a great run so far.
But don't forget, they had
I got no basketball and I got no Jets and I got no sports.
Well, Buffalo also had a good run a couple of years ago. They started off, I believe it was 5-1, and then went ahead and lost the next 5-6 games in a row.
You know,
fade out.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about the Jets. I mean, of course, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl and win it, so maybe that's.
So did many other people.
Yeah, so many other people. All right, NBA Day, we got to run. Hey there, you know what? At least tomorrow night, Shabbos, tonight's Rosh Chodesh. You got some stuff to be happy about. You know.
Turn a new leaf.
Yeah, we're just gonna focus on that. And just tell me you agree to me that the Jets would be doing better if not for that rough schedule they started off with. Just tell me you agree to that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
We looked at their schedule. They're going to have 2 games against the Bills, by the way, so they will decide their own fate. And things do get. They got the not Cars.
Patriots.
They got Patriots. Well, also they're going to have an opportunity to cut
really
their own
decide
path.
their own division.
Yeah, and that's all you want as a football team and as a football fan of the team. Have an opportunity. You don't have to rely on anyone else to lose. If the Jets take care of business, they'll be fun.
That's right. Awesome. Have a great weekend, guys.
You
all
too.
right, well, God, I have never heard him that sad before. I am so bummed out. He ain't called NBA Day for nothing. Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
So we just have to scrap the NBA soon, maybe.
I mean, I'm Sports Talk Ari, and it's going to suck not to talk NBA, but we'll have other stuff. I mean, we'll be fine. You see, I'm chipper. It's not just the coffee. I'm in a good mood. NBA Day. Oh, my God. Okay, we're not taking a commercial because we have so much more stuff to talk about until midnight. Before we get to Yossi G's Notre Dame rant, we're going to play this. We thank our friends at Fox.
When he's going to bat, he'll stop by.
Tony Lewis, we'll talk over this at some point.
I'm thinking hit and run. What do you think? And it's happened on the postseason a couple of times. I say, yeah.
This, of course, about
I
the
really
Albert
think it's a great
Pujols
play.
hit and run
First of all,
decision.
the guy's got to get on base ahead of him. But if he gets on, we talk about it. A couple of times I say, no, I don't think it's a good play here for whatever the reason. Yesterday he didn't ask me before he went up there.
Ooh,
And
throwing him under the bus.
I'd say half the time it may develop during the inning, and we haven't discussed it. But I trust Albert. And he
blew it.
Put it on yesterday.
Tony, trying to measure the severity of the confusion with the bullpen last night.
And, of course, the bullpen stuff. Here we go.
It was a sequence of events.
Let's see him work
a
his way
day
out of this.
later, do you view that moment in time as costing you the game?
Oh, I think it directly affected it. And this is what you're taught as a coach. Sometimes there's execution problems.
They should execute you.
Maybe the guy swings at a bad pitch. Maybe the guy takes a bad lead. Those things are on the player to a large degree, but they're also, you're never truly without blame or responsibility as a coach or a manager, because a lot of it comes to coaching and teaching. But for sure,
This is unbelievable.
When there's stuff that went on in that inning with the bullpen and who's up and who's not, that's miscommunication. And in the end, that comes totally on the coach or the manager. So
throwing himself under the bus.
I like that.
I explained yesterday what was going on, and to the extent that what I wanted to have happen wasn't happening, didn't happen. That's in the end, it's my fault, and I don't even begin to dodge that.
I guess now we know that he's not going to be firing his bullpen coach anytime soon.
There is something weird about those comments. Meaning, there's a point that's on the coach. I mean, the manager. Like, he's kind of throwing a little Freudian thing, I think, to the bullpen coach. I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, I guess he said the best thing that could be said, but it kind of reminded me when George W. Bush, we're not going to get too political, but we include him because he used to, own the Rangers.
The owner, yeah.
Of the Rangers, and the Rangers, of course, in the World Series. Now, when G.W. Bush was owner of the Rangers, he traded some guy named Sammy Sosa for Tim Raines, and he was asked about that when he ran for president, believe it or not, because your decision-making skills, at that time, Sammy Sosa was not busted for steroids and was a few years after hitting the 66 home runs. He said, well, Tim Raines is one heck of a ball player, a great player there, and I listened to my advisors, but of course at the end of the day, the decision was on me. But I did listen to my advisors. It's a way kind of sneaking it in where he says, "I take the blame," but what happened? Tony La Russa, what happened was not what I wanted. What I wanted to see happen. Albert Pujols this, Albert Pujols that. So whenever someone says, "I take the blame," fully, usually they don't really mean it.
I was going to just say end the conversation there.
And he does not end the conversation, so kind of hint, wink, and so on and so on. It's kind of like someone that says, I never lie, is usually the biggest liar. Someone that says, I take all the blame, is not taking any responsibility. And I think that's what happened with Tony La Russa. I think that he really screwed up big time, but somehow does not want to admit it. Like most people.
We'll see what happens, because if they end up losing, then I on that note, as you just brought up, then you can say goodbye to Mr. Lilquist, the bullpen coach, and then you will likely be proven correctly. However, if the Cardinals do somehow, some way, magical wonders upon wonders, end up winning the Super Bowl, I think this is all a moot point because winning cures all.
Well said. I would like to go to the Coastal and dime for the Cardinals to win, but I have a list of things down for, like the Jets getting the playoffs right in the NBA working out. I got NBA Dave's list before I even worry about the Cardinals. I'm not going to have time, I don't think.
You know, the last time I had a friend who prayed for a sports team to win, that was the morning of the Super Bowl with the Ravens and the Giants in 2001. He was a Giants fan, and we know how that ended.
Yeah. I feel not so normal about doing that. Me and Annie did go to the Costa last summer. Not last summer, but the year before, 2010, for Yuri Foreman. But it was, I'm not so much for him to win, kind of more like everything's okay, be fine, healthy, whatever. That actually didn't work out either. Maybe God doesn't want us to dive about sports. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't say such a thing. But I don't know. That prayers are obviously a personal thing. I generally do not dive in about sports.
If you did, and if you put a note in, likely somebody's going to end up reading it and posting it online.
Yes, at this point, I definitely, if we're to dive about sports, probably wouldn't be written down. I would just mouth that out. But it is Rosh Chodesh tonight. That's a lucky day. Of course, I don't know. Could be lucky for Rangers fans. I mean,
lucky for Rangers fans. Well, we certainly hope, because you never know what sort of pitcher you're going to get out from anybody that you really put onto the mound. You go through everybody. You know, you got Matt Harrison, who pitched. You have Derek Holland. You have everybody. It's like you had your regular season, and you had your postseason. You pitched well in the regular season. You pitched crap in the postseason, and vice versa. So you were just hoping that whoever it is that Ron Washington's going to put out on the mound tonight, being Kobe Lewis, you hope that it's going to be somebody who's going to give your team the best opportunity and give them a good shot of actually succeeding. And talking about luck of the Irish.
Yes.
Talking about getting lucky. This definitely has turned ugly.
4, 4, 4, 4, and 3. That's a disgrace to Louis Ari. That really sucks, Brian O'Kelly. I'd say a word, but that's a swear word. You got your ass kicked by USC, and that gives me no time for glee. Brian O'Kelly, just quit, resign, and then don't take the money, we'll be fine. Okay. YoCG, I usually rip on the Fighting Irish Sunday night. That's my tradition.
Well, you got to do it twice this week.
Well, we talked about this in the green room yesterday, where you were very insistent on ripping on them. You actually thought they could have beaten USC.
Yeah, there was definitely a possibility. You got your full chock full of timeouts. You got about 2 and change to go in the fourth quarter. It's definitely possibilities. We've seen crazier things happen. Yeah, you end up losing the game by a score of 31-17, but at that point, it's still a little closer than that. And I've seen crazier things happen in sports. I'm sure you have. I'm sure some of our listeners have as well.
The frustrating thing with the Fighting Irish, their number one problem, in my opinion, has been turnovers and a lot of these fluke plays. Even against Southern Florida, you had a fumble recovery run back for a touchdown. Same thing happened against USC, 14-point swing, as the Irish were about knocking on the doorstep of getting a touchdown and tying the ball game. So that, to me, is the number one problem, and that, to me, is a coaching thing, because that's pure fundamentals. You do not turn the ball over in the red zone. That's obvious, unless you're the Arizona Cardinals in the Super Bowl. But frustrating also as the...
It wasn't the end zone. It wasn't a touchdown.
The biggest Notre Dame Fighting Irish Jewish fan in Israel, in all of Israel, and I can safely say that, is you have Michael Floyd, and with the DUI stuff, not a candidate for the Heisman, but probably first-round draft pick. It depends on a lot of different things. But the talent...
Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, Oakland Raiders. My opinion, the talent to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL, and he's not being utilized. I believe he had 5 catches in the game against USC. And I know you don't have you don't have Joe Montana under center. Okay, you have Reese. All right, but that being said, Michael Floyd is a good enough target and a talented enough target to get him the ball more. But what else do you want to rip on him? I mean, there's so many things in Notre Dame right now.
You don't call timeouts. You end the game with 3 timeouts. There's a problem with that, and it was even hinted at by some of the USC players who they said, we really, we have to thank our lucky stars that we're not on the other sideline, because it looks like their guys quit. It looks like they just said they threw in the towel when they had the full 60 minutes had not been finished, had not been executed. There were still a couple minutes to go.
And that's the thing with Notre Dame. Whenever you hear me rip on the team, I will never rip I don't want to say never. You said never say never, but most of the time will not rip on the Fighting Irish if I feel they're giving their best. It sounds very cliche, but part of my anger is after they get the first win of the season when they beat Michigan State. You see, and Michigan State was ranked, you see they had the talent to do so, and you know that it was unexcusable to blow the fourth quarter lead against Michigan, and it was unexcusable to lose to Southern Florida. That was a simple not taking the game serious enough. And I think you're right. I think quit's a strong word. They certainly didn't take that game serious enough with the time.
But it's simply what the Irish did.
Yeah, apparently. That's what it looks like. And yeah, another thing, too, I brought this up on Sunday night. For those of you who don't know, Notre Dame is not in a conference. They're an independent. And what happens is... Like Army. What happens for most teams is when they get into a big bowl game, a big BCS game, they split the money among the teams of the conference. Hypothetically, let's say Arizona gets in to the Orange Bowl and they get $12 million. They split that among the teams, not even exactly, but whatever. Notre Dame is an independent, keeps all that money. So when they get into a bowl game, even though most of the time in the last 20 years they haven't deserved it, as you see, because they get smoked in bowls. The joke is they're marijuana because they get smoked in bowls. Some Jim Rome's caller said that wasn't an Ari Louis original. But you see, they didn't deserve to belong there. Who cares? They got $12 million just for the university. And to get into a big BCS bowl game, you cannot have more than 2 losses. They have 3. I actually, for the most part, accept a loss to USC, at least at the beginning of the season. You look at the calendar of Notre Dame, and you say, that's probably a loss. And you figure Boston College maybe, Stanford maybe. And you figure they could split 2 losses. Southern Florida is unexcusable, and blowing the lead in Michigan is unexcusable. And $12 million can help them buy. I mean, I'm sorry, not buy players. Get the proper equipment and facilities.
In order to get those players.
Equipment and facilities. They don't pay players. Nobody does in college football. Nobody. Never happens. Never will. Didn't see nothing. But proper equipment and facilities. $12 million can buy a lot of weights. That's what the money's going to. Weights. And
a lot of replica jerseys. I didn't
we didn't say that. We didn't say that. And they got nothing to do with women. That's a proper Irish Catholic facility. It's a religious institution. And we know religious institutions of any religion don't involve strange women.
Amen. Amen, brothers.
Anyway. Okay, Yossi G, a few minutes left of the program. World Series Game 6 tonight, 2 a.m. IST Israel Standard Time approximately. Hopefully there's no rain. What do you see happening? And give me a score.
Well, yeah, you take one look at what happened yesterday. It was all of the momentum has swung Texas' way. They end up going to St. Louis. They call the game. As much as I like to see Texas winning in 6, I don't see that happening tonight. It looks like this will be a Game 7. And tonight, though, it's going to be an interesting game. I actually see that it'll be close, it'll be tight, it'll probably end up going to extra innings, kind of
really?
a la 91 Kirby Puckett.
Yes.
But the only interesting thing is, though, when it comes to Game 7, which many of us will not be able to watch unless there's another rainout, is that Ron Washington will out-coach Tony La Russa as he's done in the past, and the Texas Rangers will finally bring home their first title to the great state of everything is bigger than Texas. The reason why is because the cardinal rule is don't mess with Texas.
Beautiful sign that we saw someone hanging in Game 5 in the Big Ballpark in Arlington. This has been Texas year in sports in that the Mavericks won a title. The Cowboys, okay, forget about that. And the hockey team, the Stars?
Yeah, forget about that, too. Okay. They gave it Mike Richards, and they let him go to the Rangers.
But 2 out of 4 wouldn't be bad. That ain't bad at all.
50-50.
50-50.
Those are the chances for each team.
Yes. Got to certainly take those odds. Well, if those are the odds given to you, those are the odds given to you. I say Game 6 tonight, not going extra innings, but I think it'll be very, very competitive. The pitchers, like I said, I believe they more or less cancel out. Colby Lewis is a little bit better than Jaime Garcia, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would go with that, yeah.
I'd say the home field advantage then makes them even. I guess I want to go with that. And I feel the Cardinal offense is a little bit better. It'll be close. 1 run. I say Cardinals win 4-3. As far as Game 7 being played on Shabbos, I like how you brought up the possibility of another rainout. Could go that way, but
it's the Midwest. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Men are close with sheep. in a purely platonic way. Okay.
Tornadoes.
Who knows? It's true.
They may end up flying back to Texas for Game 7.
You know what?
Okay, that's a bit of a stretch.
Well, two things I actually want to bring up about Game 7. Since Bud Selig made this crazy rule about the All-Star game deciding home field advantage, we have not had a Game 7. Technically, his rule didn't really take effect. You could say, well, certain cities had Game 1 first, normally wouldn't have happened. Okay, but the extra game has not played a role since Bud Selig's crazy rule, and it could very well play this year. But for those of you who want to rip Bud Selig a new one, the National League would have had home field advantage anyway, because for those of you who are old enough to remember, it used to alternate between leagues. National League, American League, National League. So National League would have had the home Game 7. Whatever. In any case, it would be the first Game 7 since 2002. Second point, we're talking about Notre Dame. As I mentioned to OCG in the green room, when I was a teenager, I used to leave my TV on Shabbat. I would turn on before Shabbat would begin and watch the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And guess what? If somehow, some way, I could do this again for tomorrow night, I would do it, man. I'd watch Game 7 on Shabbat, but I would turn my TV on before. And not, I don't say do this at home. I don't recommend that to everybody. Don't break Shabbos to watch the game, but it is Game 7 of the World Series, and I'd probably cave in and leave the TV on. That's just me, and people would make what they want. I believe in honesty with my fans. I believe in honesty with the audience. I'm just telling you what I would do. Of course, lucky for Yiddishkeit, I can't get in touch with the hot guy.
Yeah, but
yes.
But it's actually just getting back to the point we were talking about before. Absolutely nothing to do with watching the game on Shabbat. That is, explain something to me here. You have Joe Torre. He's what's the official title is the Major League Baseball Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations. Just scrap that whole thing. Just Joe Torre. He works in the baseball office. I think that would kind of work. After the whole controversy that happened up in Boston with all their pitchers, it seems whoever wasn't supposed to be on the mound, everybody else was in the clubhouse having a beer or two or three. After that kind of came to light, and the pitchers themselves confessed to that they being Clay Buchholz, John Lester, and then the other ones who were involved are John Lackey and Josh Beckett. But what happens now if indeed the Major League Baseball hierarchy goes ahead and says a complete clubhouse ban of alcohol? Right now, there are only 12 clubhouses that allow it in their clubhouse. What happens if no more alcohol in the clubhouse? Then I don't mean to rip into Josh Hamilton, because I think he's fantastic, and what he's done in the second half of his career is absolutely amazing, that being on the personal side of his life. Will all the other clubhouses end up sprinkling soda versus
Great point. It's a
alcohol?
great point. Because people forget Josh Hamilton, who, if you don't know, is a recovering or is alcoholic. He went through the process of AA and everything. And when the Rangers celebrated the American League pennant both times, they made more note of it last year.
It was like ginger ale and
ginger
things like
ale,
that.
yes, and out of respect for Josh Hamilton. It is midnight, so we'll have to talk about this more next week. But this is my thoughts about baseball and this potential lack of alcohol. Basketball, they told the players, you got to stop dressing like crap and wear suits and ties because you're an influence to all the children out there watching you, and you need to dress nice. And let me tell you something. I was very impressed. Rip Hamilton looked good in a suit. It looked professional.
So did AI.
I really actually enjoyed it. And I'm a guy, those of you who know me on a personal level know I generally don't dress up, especially in my younger years. I dress a little more running the station. But I looked at it, and it touched me, and I really enjoyed it and liked it. Baseball is more of a dumber down, lower class, whatever. The fan base is much different than the NBA. NBA, believe it or not, say what you want, stereotype this, stereotype that, it plays in the suburbs. Suburbs are where the money comes from. Suburbs, more people are watching it there, really than anywhere else, as far as going to the games, the press boxes, the suites, all that stuff. Baseball is anybody, anywhere. And let me tell you something. Here's my thoughts on this Joe Torre thing. Prohibition didn't work in 1923. It ain't working now. You could not zone a place and say no alcohol. There will be alcohol. It's a baseball stadium. It's a baseball clubhouse. Somehow, some way, they will break the rules. They will sneak it in. The mafia will come in, and you'll have mafia-esque and mafiosos people in the clubhouse open up their suits and jackets, pointing to alcohol in their pockets. Believe it or not, it will happen. Believe it will happen, because it will. That's not going to work. Joe Torre needs to look at the Constitution and realize there's a big whiteout stain of the Constitution, and that's where they added prohibition. And then there's a nice little highlighted blue marker where they repealed it. And prohibition is not going to work. It's human nature to drink. I am against alcohol. Those who know, Yossi G saw from first-hand perspective. I don't generally drink, and when I do, I make an ass out of myself. I don't like to drink, and I don't think people should drink. But I don't think it should be a law against drinking either. And those are my thoughts on that. Great show, Yossi G. We had one or two people on the phone lines. Not bad, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
A little bit of everyone. Where do we get? First, Ari Bluestein, our Philadelphia insider. I want to thank him for coming on the program. Shlomo Leipitz wasn't the best-sounding phone situation, but hey, Israeli superstar nonetheless, and he pitched a great shutout. Talked about, from a player's perspective, going into Game 7 as a pitcher, and mentioning the adrenaline will take out a lot of the pain. Not something everybody
maybe
remembers.
that'll just help Tony La Russa's decision, because it doesn't seem like he can make one himself.
Yes. And you know what? Tony La Russa, stick some meat on that plate, put the meat on the bones and in your brain or something, because you're not functioning right now with all your vegan garbage. I want to thank Radio Mike from Kew Garden Hills for calling in. Yochanan from Brooklyn. Oh,
New York Jets.
Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner for breaking it down. And Jim was straight up. He thinks the ratings were good. The ratings, certainly by comparison last year, are phenomenal. And they did get a nice break in that the Monday night game was a disaster as far as, if you like, offense 12-7. And Sunday night was a disaster with the Colts being blown out by the Saints. So those were Jim's 2 cents there. NBA Day, want to thank him for calling in.
And East Coast Andy.
East Coast Andy also.
As always.
Well, NBA Day, I just can't get over how sad he sounds. I want to get him some flowers and candy and write a card that says, cheer up, fella.
I think maybe some ice cream, too.
Yeah, ice cream would be nice. Next week, we have a whole great list of programs and guests, most notably highlighted by Monday night's brand new edition of the Myra Kraft IFL show, which will be Monday at 10 p.m. IST, Israel Standard Time, hosted by the IFL Commissioner, Oriel Stern. But that's it for tonight. God bless and good night!